What is going on? This is Michael Hacker with the Hacker Outdoors podcast. On today's show, Joey recaps his most recent event in Lake Murray, South Carolina, and Brian goes MIA. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, give us a like, leave a comment, and without further ado, I give you Joey McCormack. Joey McCormack, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, Bubba. Oh, Bubba.
You're looking very southern over there, man.
What's going on?
You're looking like a southern boy.
Oh, Bubba. Start calling you Bubba. What's up, Bubba?
Oh man,
Man, my house is a mess. Pardon it, everybody.
That looks beautiful from here, man. I like
Just
your
got-
artwork in the background.
See all the clothes? I just got back and house is a mess. Rangers down there doing ranger things.
No, I didn't take it as that being clothing. It looks like abstract artwork. Let's say that.
His abstract is what it is.
That is for absolute sure, man. Well, welcome everyone. We're jumping right in here. Joey, welcome back. Brian Hacker is MIA, so we're going to be doing that
Bubba.
without him today. Oh, Bubba.
Oh, Bubba.
We're feeling all sorts of ways today, aren't we?
Some type of way.
So, dude, Lake Murray, South Carolina, we had an opportunity for a quick discussion on your way down there. That's on the old YouTubes that we posted on, I believe it was Friday night, right?
Friday night, yeah.
Yeah. So, notes from the field. Joe gave us kind of a look as to what his tips and tactics were for Lake Murray for Saturday's big event. And as we know, you were down there with your buddy who also fished, and you spent the night camping. And who would have thought that it would have been that cold when we FaceTimed on Friday night?
Well, the cold wasn't the killer for me. Luckily, I have AFCO outerwear, and so I was warm literally from here down to my toes. The only problem was the hands because it was, I don't know, the highest it probably got Saturday was 42, and it rained. When I tell you it rained, I have never been so wet and so cold in my life. My hands were pretty much purple by the time I got off the water. Unbearable.
There's nothing fun about being that cold. Wet.
It was just, the only issue was it was just my hands. That was it. Hindsight, maybe I should have brought wetsuit gloves with me because that would have been the only way I could think of to keep the hands dry.
But I feel like I want to get a pair of fishing gloves. I think that that's something that is high on my list. I do tend to fish in cold weather, and wearing obviously snowboarding gloves don't work too thick. You can wear gloves tenkara fishing. That's why I like tenkara fishing in the cold, because you don't need to worry about reeling anything, and you just take it off before you handle the fish for the safety of the fish. But man, when you throw a reel into the mix there, you can't do it. And I even tried, I have a pair of thin gloves that are waterproof, and I can't do it.
That was the key, waterproof. Because the young lady I fished with, Anastasia, she had fish monkey gloves, and they're great fishing gloves, and I think they were supposed to be waterproof, but the amount of rain, they didn't last long. She probably had about 10 pairs of gloves with her, and I'm telling you, by 10:30, every single pair was soaked to this, like you could wring them and just. I mean, my bibs, I could grab my AFCO bibs. I mean, they're expensive and they keep you completely dry and completely warm. Same with the jacket. But the hands, that was the killer. And then when you would try to move the boat, and you have just rain pelting your hands at 39 degrees and just moving at 40 miles per hour.
Well, let's stop for a moment. Let's retrace the steps a little bit. So, for those of you who are listening and you have been longtime listeners, Joe, of course, lives in Maryland. I'd say we're north central.
Northern Maryland. I'm about
Northern
20 minutes from PA line, yeah.
Right. So, you drove down to South Carolina Friday. We've been having a bout of crazy weather up here, so you were experiencing it. For those of you who have not listened to that kind of notes from the field, Joe was experiencing some crazy weather on the way down there, freezing rain, some snow up north, and then um, you went camping Friday night into Saturday. So
So
tell us a little
so
bit about
Brendan and
that.
I, so it seems like a lot of these places we go fish, that the hotels around them are. And last time Brennan fished an event down in South Carolina, he actually got scabies from the place. So Brennan was like, you know what? No more. We're not doing this. We're going to camp.
Hold on. We can't gloss over that for a second. So Bray got scabies from a hotel.
Yes. Yeah. He was driving home. It was his regional, and he called me. We were talking. He's like, I'm flipping out. I have like these 2 marks on me. I'm itching. I'm telling you, something was biting me when I was sleeping. And like, I know the feeling because I've stayed in some places that you just feel like, I'm like, Brett, you're just freaking out. You're just freaking yourself out, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out, he wasn't freaking himself out. He drove himself to like the patient first place by his house, and it was scabies, scabies that he had. Um,
I'm at a loss for words. Okay, uh, let's
no, he
continue.
so we decided that no longer are we going to stay places. We're just going to. He has a pickup. I think he's got a real nice pickup truck, and he had camping pads. You know what I'm talking about, like the camping pads you put
Yeah,
your stuff on.
yeah,
He
yeah.
had real nice ones. He had one for me. So what we did when we pulled in the campground, we parked. He had his truck like this, my Jeep like this. We hung a tarp out of the back, sliding down the covers from the rain. Set a table up underneath that, our grill, and did all our rigging. And then when it came time to sleep, the back of my Jeep, all the seats were folded down, and I had the camping pad to sleep on with my pillow and blankets, and had a space heater in there because it hooked right up to the power at the campsite, and he did too.
Nice.
And tell you what, it was some of the best sleep, and it was super comfortable. We were right there at the launch, and it was perfect, absolutely
Uh,
perfect.
So that night, you told me that Brennan picked up some steaks,
Oh my
and
god!
you were saying they were like 4-inch thick steaks, and you
So
paid
the
like
steaks, the thickness of this steak was probably, I mean,
and you
over
and you
over
showed
over
me.
over an inch, and probably about this long through. He paid $14 per steak. And now, us living in the Northeast, if we were to go to a steakhouse or a restaurant, that would have been $100 steak. $14, and he cooked it on the grill. Oh my god, amazing! I mean, we ate like champs for maybe $30, camped for $30 total, and that was perfect. I mean, that was the greatest setup there was, and probably one of the greatest ideas Brennan's ever came up with in his 42 years on this earth. I mean,
Well, Brendan,
absolutely
if
amazing.
you're listening to this, which hopefully you are, man, that's unfreaking believable. There is nothing like the taste of meat on an open
Oh my,
fire. And like I love barbecue. I love cooking on my smoker. I love, my cooking on an actual barbecue or, grill. But when you have an open fire and you are camping on an open fire, there is nothing in the world like it.
it was so good. Let me share. While we're doing this, I'm going to share the screen of Brennan. Brennan actually took second place in the tournament. So let
Yeah,
me
hold
show
on.
you.
Let me
Let me know what I can share.
you are golden,
All
pony
right, let
boy.
me share this so you guys can. It'll give you kind of an idea. I'm going to blow it up too, of how wet and cold we were. So this is Brennan. He took second place, and as you can see, he's got the AFCO jacket under the same bibs, and I mean, see all back there, all that water. That's flood. I mean, it just poured. I mean, you can tell
Eh,
how
I, s-
cold and how
I
wet.
s- I saw this on his Instagram page, and
Yeah.
the first thing that I noticed was, of course, that he's wearing goggles.
Well, once again, let me stop sharing. Smartest man in the world. I should have brought mine because I didn't bring my sunglasses. It obviously wasn't sunny. And when you're running on a boat on the water, even if you're doing 10, 20 miles per hour, the water is just pelting you in the face, and it's 39 degrees. So he was smart enough to bring his goggles, as he always does, and I did not. And
What time did you guys take off in the morning?
oh my God, launch was started at 7, but Murray, like where we launched at, is not a lot of room, so there was a long line of boats. So me and my boater didn't launch till 8, and at 8 o'clock it was 39 degrees and it started raining.
And are the boats in the water when you say launch, or is this like you guys are lined up to actually drop your boats in the water and take
They're
off?
they're in the water, so everybody's supposed to be in the water, and depending on the number of boats in the tournament, they'll have different waves of launch. They'll have flight, they call them flights. So flight 1, flight 2, flight 3, flight 4, and each flight might have 25 boats per flight. So the guy on the megaphone from the boat will say, "Boat 1, you're good to go. Boat 1 will take," and 2, 3, so on, so on, so on, so on. I think we were boat 56, so we were in the second, third flight.
Oh wow.
But what happened with the weather, how poor the weather was, usually they wait till all the boats are in the water. Murray, where you go into launch, it, it's it's like one lane, so a line formed of all these people launching. So we didn't get into 8, and I guess because of the weather, he just launched everybody who was on the water at that time,
Hmm.
and then just the people who were still getting in, he waited for and then launched us. Just I'm guessing that's due to the weather. They did it that way. Um, but
Yeah,
it was
so you were teamed up with, you were a co-angler for, can you tell
my
us who
boater, my boater.
your boater?
Yeah, my boater's name, it was Anastasia Patterson.
And we'll link
Absolute,
to her in the notes here. And you know, I looked her up when you told me she was your boater, and she's got
absolute,
some angling skills, man.
absolute hammer down there. She grew up on Santee Cooper and is just a hammer of a fisherman. She had a great day. I mean, we both had good days. We had the fish. Um, we definitely had the fish. The weather and the cold definitely played into it to kind of hold us back some. Average tournament, I would say, cast over 2,000 times. I was nowhere near this trip just because of the weather, the hands. I mean, it took everything in the world come 11 o'clock to get your hands going and get that bait out there and cast. I lived in Colorado. I live in the Northeast. I've been in some cold, cold situations. I have never in my life been this cold. So what's today? Tuesday? That was Saturday. I'm just getting feeling back into my digits, which is nuts.
So before we get to how things ended up here, let's kind of talk. So you guys, you take off. You had your launch, right?
Yep.
You're with your boater, and you hightail it to the spots, I guess, that she has selected. We've talked
Mhm.
about this a little bit in some of the other shows that we've done. So she's obviously fished Lake Murray before, and she knows where she wants to go. Um, and you're there, you're along with her, and your go-to strategy that you talked about on the fields from the notes from the field, did you follow that, or did you have to change it because of the weather? Did you change what you were throwing? Did you change kind of your technique, speeds, anything like that?
No, everything I wanted to throw caught fish and caught fish successfully. The water clarity down there was a lot clearer than I thought, so chatterbait probably wouldn't came into play as much. I didn't throw that as much, but the things I thought that were going to catch fish caught fish. I was thinking crankbait, shad colors, smaller would catch them, and I can tell you for a fact that caught them and got somebody a second place finish.
Wow.
And exactly what I threw. I mean, within the first 5 minutes of our spot, I had 3 fish.
Oh, wow.
The
So how many
size.
fish total did you catch?
So I caught total through the day probably like 6, 7.
Okay.
But the size limit down there is you got it 15 inches.
Okay.
So it's not like it's down here. It's 12 inches. The first fish I caught, was there 14 or 15? I think it might have been 14. First fish I caught was like 13 and a half, and it weighed 3 pounds. It was huge. Couldn't weigh it in.
My God.
So I weighed, I think, 3 in. So I was too short. And we could have caught them at the end of the day, but it just, we couldn't do it. Like, we put
Yeah.
everything into it that we could, just couldn't do it. And there's actually a good bit of boaters and co's came in hours early due to the weather and just too brutal. I mean, like I said, I was dry and warm everywhere but my hands, and unfortunately, that's the
You,
biggest part of it.
you need them.
I mean,
You need them. Absolutely need them, man.
I
J-
can't even put it into words how painful our hands were, and like just how the pain, the sheer pain, it truly was like. But we were on them. We were on them. I finished in the top. I think I finished 34th or 35th with over 100 guys and women
yeah.
fishing. So top 35. I mean, that's incredible. Never fished Murray. If I would have put two more in the boat, I would have cracked top 10, I think.
What do you think your go-to strategy is um, going forward for the rest of the season? And if you have another event like this one where it is freezing, what is the goal? What is your technique? What are you, outside of wearing some waterproof gloves or
So
bringing heaters or whatever?
here's the thing, that weather down there, I know people who born and raised down there. It is this is like a fluke event that it was like that. My next event in South Carolina division is on the Santee Cooper, which is March 27th, and there is no way in holy hell it will be that cold. It should be 70s, maybe even hotter, 80s, warm, sunny, perfect.
Well, you say that, and of course, there's always a caveat with that because keep in mind it's snowing in Texas. It was like negative. I think it was like wind chill of negative, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that's
And
where,
today it was like a spring day here in Jersey, man. It was like
well,
almost 50 degrees.
here's other caveat. I was talking to the people down there today, and today down there it was 60 some degrees and sunny. You know, barring a historical, biblical, crazy cold front happening, it's
Yeah.
not going to be. It was snowing like Friday night, like 11, 10:30. It was snowing on Lake Murray, like spitting snow flurries. And I asked, like, 'cause I could see it in the light we had set up. Like, Brennan, it's snowing. He's like, dude, that's not snow. It doesn't snow here. It was snow. I mean, it was snowing. I mean, and the thing was, the day before, I think it was like 58 or 64 degrees there. So the swing was humongous of temperature, and then the next day it was back up. I mean,
Jeez.
I do have an event. I just got to. I signed up for an event on the Potomac River on this American Bass Open Series on March 13th, which there is that chance, that we're here in Maryland, that it could be something like that again. And if it's looking like that, um, there was a pair of gloves I found online. I think the company's called Six Gill. That they're fishing gloves, and they do look like they're neoprene material. And I did see two guys fishing with those, and they seem pretty dry. And if I can't get those, I'm going to go get wetsuit gloves if it's going to be cold and rainy, because honestly, that those are the only things I could see that would have kept your hands dry and warm in those conditions, is having something made out of neoprene or some ridiculous waterproof material.
Yeah. Well, it's been an insane year. I'm looking at something right now. They're saying 73.2% of the United States is covered with snow today. So there's just a section of California, of course, leading into Arizona, down to, basically the tip of New Mexico where it meets Mexico. There's a little area of Texas down at the bottom, maybe down by, was it like Brownsville area, Florida, part of Alabama, part part of Georgia, part of South Carolina, part of North Carolina, and then Delaware are the only places that looks like that there's no snow. And, like, it is unbelievable. I never discount March snow. I think
Neither do I.
historically, especially here in the Northeast, like you think it's here, man. I was outside today, and the buds are starting to grow on the trees. My lilac bush is starting to come in. Like it is. Everything's beckoning. It's spring, but that is a false start
Oh, that's a
and a
false start
false.
because we're supposed to get like anywhere from 7 to 12 inches of snow. What, Wednesday through Thursday? Like they
It
just keep
yeah.
upping and upping this total of the snow. So, like I said, I would say it's a sure bet come March 27th on Santee Cooper that I will be fishing in shorts, flip flops, and a t shirt. But March 13th on the Potomac, it could be freezing and raining again,
Yeah.
or it could be, mild. Right now, after what we endured on Murray, to be honest with you, 40 degrees with no rain would feel wonderful. The killer for me was that cold rain. If it would have snowed, I would have been 100 times better because you wouldn't have got as wet in your hands like that. The problem was is just it'd be like it was constantly like just holding your hands in 39-degree water, like just hold them in there. That's the equivalent. I had hand warmers inside my bibs,
Yeah.
and that would help, but you can't fish, like this. You would take
Oh,
them out, so it was like once again sticking your hand in 39 to 40-degree water, and forever long you're fishing and pulling them out.
man.
Like I said, dude, I got to give a big shout out to AFCO because their bibs and their outerwear are 100% incredible,
That's
bone
awesome.
dried. I mean, it was pouring rain. I mean, just dumping rain. And I was just bone dry with all my AFCO stuff, but it was just the hands. So,
Yeah, you gotta send me a picture of the actual bib when you're not wearing it. It was a little difficult to tell. And you bought that while you were down there, right?
um, before I went down there, Brennan found him at Palmetto Armory, which is a awesome store down in South Carolina, for on sale, and he picked me up a pair and picked himself up a pair. Um,
That's
he has a
awesome.
jacket. It's just they're amazing. Most bibs have like the spaghetti straps.
Yeah,
These are actually like shoulder straps, so it's just like they're tight to here, so they're not sagging or anything like that, and they're completely 100% waterproof and so dry. Like literally, like what at one point I had to like open my jacket and stick my hands like in because I had pockets here in the bibs where you put your hand warmers, but there was points where I would stick my hands actually under my bibs, like down to my like
yeah,
shirt area, and the heat was just so much in there, so warm, kept all my body heat in there and just completely dry.
yeah. That's what I do with my waders when I'm fishing, and I have
Yeah,
the chest pocket, and I usually don't use that. I usually stick it into the bib
right.
itself, and the heat marinating in there is just it's pretty intense. It's amazing.
Hands down. I mean, never again. I don't think I'll go with another. No, Sims. I hear Sims stuff is amazing, but this AFCO stuff was bulletproof. And during the weigh-in, I can't tell you how many people came through the stage and their shutout was to AFCO, to their outerwear, and just how incredible it was.
Yeah.
But just the gloves, man. That would, I think Anastasia and I too, both of us, if we would have had been able to keep our hands warmer, it would have made a big difference in standings for us. But we both, I mean, beginning of the year, first tournament of the year in the South Carolina division. I mean, got great points. I'm great position. Um, just go up from here. I mean,
Now, what did Anastasia finish in? Do you know?
I think she was in the same range as I think like
I th-
38th,
sh-
39th,
She posted, I think, on her Instagram, right? 47th.
47th. So I mean, we were all well, Brennan was second. He got second. I was 35th, I think. So we were all top 50. I wanted to get top 30, right on that cusp, ounces. So it's a good finish, and they have I think it was like 150 boaters. So that's a big deal. That's where you want to be. You want to be top 50 and better with that many boaters. Um,
Now, I got to ask you because my buddy and I we would go through this over the summertime when we would be doing these floating trips where we would fish, do the smallie fishing on some of the rivers around here, and I would tell him, good luck, and he would get pissed at me, and he's an old time fisherman, and he would say, you can't say something like that. Do you have superstitions going into some of these events and saying like I had sent you a text message and, oh well, yeah, I know you're growing your hair out or have left it because of that, but like where people say things to you, do you get annoyed by it? Because I said tight lines because I think that's like a universal like
no, a
way
lot of
of
people
saying
have
it.
the whole banana on the boat. Don't bring bananas on the boat. I don't do it because I don't want the boater to to freak out. A lot of people buy into the no bananas, puts a curse on the boat. But then
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of pros just housing bananas while they're fishing and win tournaments. So my only thing has been the hair. Like I haven't cut the hair. It started because of COVID, and then I had a fourth, a sixth, and then I think like a seventh finish, and now this finish. So the mullet's not going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's to catch fish, to put it lightly, I heard a lot of people say this is to be able to go out there on a day like that, the most extreme conditions, and catch fish and catch fish that puts you there is a feat in its own.
Oh, I think that speaks volumes, man.
It,
When it's raining, it's hard work. In the summertime, when it's raining, it's hard work to catch fish. I mean, it's February. I mean, this is what, a few days ago. So what was it, February 13th?
13th,
You're
yeah.
fishing. Um, even in the South, like that's pouring rain, that cold, like it's got some sort of effect on the animals. So I don't know,
Well,
man.
the thing was, what stinks is the bass were definitely 100% getting close to spawn. Um, the water temperature before the rain and before this cold front came through, I was hearing was like 59, 60,
Oh
6,
wow.
so that's right there when they're about to start spawning. Even the day of the tournament with all the cold rain and the cold front, we were seeing temperatures like at 54 to 50. So they were still, even with that cold, they were just eating shad, like gorging themselves. Like all the bass I caught, their lips look like they had lipstick on, just the brightest red you've ever seen because they're just eating and eating and eating and eating.
Hmm.
I mean, they were just gorging on shad. Like I said, that one fish I couldn't keep because it was under 14. It was like 13 and a half, and it was like a 3 pound fish. So that should tell you. I mean, it was massive, and it was under 14 inches. They were just stacked up together, just smashing shad. Um, but it 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 was like fighting with your body, the fish. Like you had to convince yourself, this pain, you're going to get through it. You just got to suck it up and you got to do it. Around 12:30, it got really hard to suck it up. But, we did it. The amount of cast definitely started declining around 11:30, 12. But we did it. We did it. I also caught, this will make you happy. I caught a yellow perch
Attaboy.
on a crankbait. That was amazing because it housed this thing. Like it had back treble hook in his mouth, which blew our minds. Caught a huge pike that we thought was a bass because the water got so cold it was white and
Yeah.
it looked like a bass. So we netted it. I'm like, son of a bitch. So I caught you a pike. Go figure. So
There was a guy posted on one of the Jersey fishing forums on Facebook. He caught a perch on a chatterbait today. I said, really? Well, Donna caught a perch last early spring on a tiny little minnow, like a Rapala minnow,
yep.
and I they're fun fish, man, but not what you're looking for when you're at a
Oh,
tournament.
that pike or pickerel that pissed me off so bad because it was towards the end of the day. It got on the line. She's like, "Damn, that's like a 4 pounder, 5 pounder." And we could see it. You could because the water's pretty clear, and it didn't look like a pike because it was feeding up. It was fat, chubby, white, had the tail. Like, oh hell yeah, that would have been the fish. And we put. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. But that perch, it was a Spro Little John crankbait, the DD. So I mean, the crankbait's like 3 inches. Hammered it like so. It had like the treble hook sealed its mouth shut because it hammered the back end. I couldn't believe it. But you know,
Well, I think overall it was a great event. I think,
oh,
something to be proud of. I think you did good work. I think Anastasia did great work. I look forward to seeing what happens next
yeah,
month.
Brennan. I mean, Brennan, he got second. I mean, the thing a lot of time in these tournaments, you don't win. Most people don't win tournaments. Period. End of sentence. There's a lot of people who don't crack the top 20 in their lifetime. When you're fishing a tournament with like 150 boats, 200 boats, you want to be top 50 or better. I mean, and that's considered a good thing. You really, if you get in the 30s points wise, I mean, that's really where you want to be. So to go down to a lake I've never fished before, never even stepped on it, and then to finish, I think 34th or 35th, and I was literally ounces out of the high low 20s, hands down. I mean, that sets me up to put me in the race for all types of different things. So just got to
Yeah.
go down to Santee, and Santee is the one that's going to be, to win it as a co-angler. I'm thinking on Santee that time of year, you're talking 20 plus pounds. Boaters, you're talking 30. I would think 30 pound, 5 fish. Santee's a monster factory. I mean, there's going to
Mm.
be 10 and 12 pounds weight in fish, individual fish.
Oh,
So,
wow. Well, we look forward to seeing what happens. And Joe, we always, of course, wish you the best. And one of these years, or days, I'll have to do one of these tournaments with you, man.
well, now a new one I signed up for that, they keep me busy is the Potomac. So pretty much home waters on March 13th. So I don't,
Oh,
another month before I'm back out there, it's just kind of driving me nuts, but it will
I
come
know, man.
quick.
I know. I was saying I haven't gotten out and doing anything in like a couple weeks. I've just been too busy with a bunch of random crap going on, and it kind of, when you're used to escaping the house, it it's mind numbing, and it's like an addiction. You miss it. You kind of think about it. Like I've been thinking about fly fishing and um and snowboarding and everything else. It's just like, man, I need to make time to make this happen. And I mean, I'm in a little bit different position than you, right? Because
Yeah.
you don't enjoy the same type of fishing as I do all the time. But um, I yeah, man, I got to get out, and I got to get out soon. And I
I'll tell
think
you this. It was very tough coming home because, if I could have stayed down there, I could be fishing today or tomorrow. Where we're at, like you said, where we're at right now, it's just kind of tough with the weather and the cold and the snow and more coming. And we're almost there, buddy. We're almost there.
we are, and I keep saying that, right? It's spring is on the horizon. Not that I care. I don't. I like the winter. I'm fine with the winter. I love the winter. I just can't keep doing.
In
I
the
don't know.
house.
Yeah, like that's not the life that I lead, man. I've been setting up the trail cam behind the house. We saw a coyote a couple nights ago. I posted about it on my Instagram story. We've been having these monster bucks and deer come into the yard, so I went out and I got some deer food to try and keep them into the woods behind the house. And, I woke up the other night, couldn't sleep, and I'm looking out the back window, and sure enough, there's this massive coyote back there. And I'm like, man, I got to put the trail cam back up because I haven't had it up in a long time. Um, and nothing yet, but it was just something kind of keeping me looking outdoors, right? And looking through the window saying, man, I can't wait to be back out in these woods and exploring and doing other things.
I tell you, it was a blast. Even though, I nearly got frostbite on my fingers, I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. You know, if they told me to drive down this weekend, another tournament, it's going to be 39 and raining, I would do it again like this.
Well, you're a madman because you fished all day long
I did.
and then you drove back home, and that was,
Well,
you came home that night.
I was planning to sleep before I went home, but what happened was freezing rain, storm that was supposed to hold off the longer
Yeah.
came sooner. So it was like,
Yeah.
I just got to go do it. And a drive that usually takes 7 hours took over 12. So
Well, like I said, you're an absolute madman, and I love it. And I think we'll leave it there if that's cool, Joe.
yeah,
It is always a pleasure, man. We're proud of you. I
thanks,
was
brother.
watching the weigh-ins, and it looked like they were delayed because of all the rain, so we didn't actually see you get weighed in.
I don't even recognize myself in the pictures because I had like 3 beanies on, like just soaking wet, dude. But
Like it's hard too to hear what the heck they're saying, and then like nothing lines up, and it's like you're like, is
that was the weather, yeah.
yeah. So look forward to following up on it and seeing what's going on. But um, you know, Joe, always a pleasure, brother.
You too, man. We'll
Everyone,
talk
thank you for joining.
later this week.
All right, guys, take
All
care.
right.